Good evening and welcome to the Dollar Dogs and Beer podcast. I'm your host Andrew. Joining me tonight is Joe. How are you doing, man?
Doing okay, man. How about you?
Not too bad. Hey, Truist threw a nice party the past 2 days, didn't it?
It sure looks that way, yeah.
It was home run derby. We had the All Star game. You have the Futures game. I'll admit I did not watch the Futures game at all. I've been skipping the celebrity softball game for years because I lost interest in that probably right around high school. I think sounds about right.
Probably, yeah.
That hasn't really been entertaining in a long time. They just keep trying to cycle the same people through, and it's like it didn't work the first. It worked for a while, and then it stopped working. But we're not going to change anything to make it better. So why do we still do it? That's a great question. So, Joe, what are you drinking tonight, bud?
Well, in honor of Kyle Schwarber and in hopes of what the Cubs will do starting Friday, I'm drinking a hard Mountain Dew, the Code Red edition. So just like I'm downing this lovely red liquid, I hope the Cubs can down the Red Sox and tame them down a little bit this weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. That'd be nice to see. I'm drinking one of my favorite Pennsylvania breweries is New Trail. This is the red, white, and blueberry sour. Absolutely delicious if you like sours. Because there's not a whole lot for me not to be sour about from the first half of the season when it comes to Atlanta. But more on that later, as we say. So first up, we'll start off with the home run derby. First of all, great event. They do throw on a really great event. Jazz Chisholm was an absolute joke. When you're scraping to the bottom of the barrel, and Jazz Chisholm is the guy who says, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." Maybe we should reconsider going back to going to six batters instead of eight. What do you think about that? Because I love the Derby. It gets so long though. That first round takes forever to grind through, and then the second and the third round, I thought timing wise were fine. It was entertaining throughout, other than Jazz's at bat, which is what you always want to see. But with Jazz being the last pick, do you think maybe we should have said six batters instead of eight?
There's certainly something to be said for that. I think, the fact that if you watch that in its entirety, you're starting that thing at 8 o'clock and you're not done till, I don't know, after 11, I think.
Yeah, it was like 11:30, I think.
Like, I'm sorry, there's no reason that should take that long. There isn't. To me, I think six is the most I would have. I'm almost at the point, if you're going to keep this format, where you go to four and just make it 2-3 rounds and that's it. Like,
yeah,
it's a little stupid to me. Just how long it's gotten. It's not something that I'm gonna, go out of my way to spend a lot of time watching if it's gonna take up 3 hours of my night, like, or more. 3.5 almost. Like, I feel like there's a lot better things I can do with my time if that's all you're going to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm glad they don't do the 1 through 8 seeding anymore, and that remember the one year they tried that, and all the top 4 seeds got knocked out, and they realized very quickly this is not the correct format. I'm glad they did pivot away from that. I other than Jazz, it was a great outing by everybody else. Wood had 16 home runs. Rooker had 17. This is round one total. Caminero had 21. Cruz had 21. Buxton had 20. Jazz, of course, had that laughable 3, and none of his swings looked great. Cal Raleigh had 17, and Matt Olson with 15. And I felt for Olson because he wasn't expecting to do the home run derby at all. And then Acuna had back tightness towards the end of the week last week and was actually held out of the game. He decided not to do the Derby to try and stay healthy for the second half. He was okay to play the All-Star game, but opted out of the Derby. I'm glad they picked Matt Olson to replace him. So, being in Atlanta, they had an Atlanta player there, and Olson was absolutely the right pick. I mean, he started slow because it took Eddie Perez forever to get pitches where Olson could just jack them. But when he got, that second half and through the bonus round, Olson hit a really torrid pace, and I thought he had a chance. I didn't think it was a big one with the slow start, but he definitely had a chance at the very end to chase his way into that second round. But unfortunately, he hasn't. And Atlanta still has never had anyone win the home run derby, and honestly, that is what it is. I could care less. Would have been cool, but I'm not heartbroken.
Yeah, I think one thing that they may want to consider, and actually, a friend of the show, Ron, and I were talking about this a little bit. Maybe they just go to a pitching machine because, yeah, the stories are nice, but like
Yeah.
the consistency sucks. So, not to say that Olsen would have won it, but at the same time, like if you guys are getting the consistent pitches where you want them, then it's a lot easier for that to be more entertaining from a power standpoint.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not the entire focus of the event, and I'm not trying to disregard that. It's just the thought to make things a little more consistent.
Well, and you could also
Different hitters.
you could set the speed better too. Like the hitters could dial it to where they want it, and it would be like having Greg Maddux on the mound, and you could say, "I want it right here every time at this full," and Maddux would be able to do that. The guys they have, none of these guys are able to do that. I mean, Cal's dad, the one, in the first round, brushed him back to piss his son off and get him going, which I thought was funny, but also is a waste of a pitch. Not that he needed it by the end.
It did work though, so
it definitely worked. It got him going. Do you remember the home run derby? What was it? 2 years ago, the last time Acuna was in it, and after Acuna's round was over and he got eliminated, Jason popped on the group chat and immediately said, "Who the hell did he have pitching? That was horrible."
Right.
Yeah, like it was. They were breaking stuff inside on his hand, like too far inside for him to. Like what the? You're not trying to strike the guy out. It's a damn home run derby. I like your idea of using a pitch machine, and it would also you could probably pick up the pace a little bit with the pitch machine too. Which
I think one of two things has to happen. I mean, you either go to a more consistent, delivery for the balls to be hit, or you go to the older format where it's 10 swings and that's it, or 10 outs and that's it.
Yeah.
Instead of these scheduled rounds where they're this long and then there's a little break because they have a bonus round, and then like it just feels like they've done everything they can to make this a huge monumental event, and it just feels like they've kind of butchered it. And it's no surprise with it being on ESPN that they've butchered something about baseball, but
right.
To me it just seems like your skills competition should be probably no more than 2 hours.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially if it's one solitary event. Now, if you make changes like we've talked about on this show numerous times, with like the NBA where they have a 3-point and a dunk, hockey where they have a hardest shot and they've got the target shooting, they've got all those different things.
The skating agility drills too. Ooh.
Yeah, if you've got multiple events, 3 hours could make sense. 3.5 hours for a home run derby only is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, even that home run derby X that we talked about a few years ago, that's still going on, and I don't think that runs 3 hours. So
yeah, it just seems to me like they've missed the mark with the product, at least with the derby. There was something iconic about Berman.
Back.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like they've been searching for their next baseball voice ever since, and they haven't found it. So I'll be interested to see what happens when it transitions to another broadcast carrier, if it does. And sort of what happens with it once that does happen. Because if you have people who are excited about the sport, like, it's going to be a little bit more enjoyable. To borrow a line from the movie Tommy Boy, Berman could sell catch a popsicle to a woman in white gloves. Like,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
it's so true. It is so
like
true.
Berman could sell anything when it came to sports, and ESPN has been searching for that voice to liven up baseball ever since.
Yeah, and I don't see even if MLB and ESPN do come to an agreement to keep some stuff with ESPN next year in the off season, this current group it's not it. Other
No,
than
it's not.
maybe Poppy, that's about it. Like the fact that they dragged Pat McAfee in to try and I guess lend some credibility. Like, no, I love Pat McAfee for football, but he's definitely branching out and being more knowledgeable about a lot of other sports. He's not it for baseball, at least not at this point.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, they were probably just trying to, you know, reach a different audience a little bit and expand the audience a
Yeah.
little. So from that perspective, a McAfee move makes sense. But and you know, I love him when he's on WWE because he's fantastic. But
Oh,
um,
he's fantastic for WWE. Absolutely.
yeah, but I mean, I think, you know, trying to hype up the fans there and trying to sort of bridge to a different audience. I get why they would do something like that. It just didn't land. And um, again, I think the fact that this event is 3.5 hours, I mean,
Yeah.
that's where the
It's
issue starts, and then the
it's
rest of
so
it is just
hard
awful to begin with.
at 3.5 hours. It's just so hard to keep attentions going, and it's too much. I mean, honestly, in the first round, cut the bonus down to 2+1 instead of 3+1, or even 1+1. You know, that bonus round by itself, because it's untimed, takes so long. And you know, Jason pointed out in the group chat, the worst thing about the timed part is you don't get to watch each home run and celebrate each home run because it's flipping screens back and forth. Now, I will say ESPN does the picture in picture really well for that, and the split screen really well for that. And I love when they're taking pictures of mid swing and they use all the cameras around the batter to move the picture as it's go. That's cool, and I wish they would have done more of that, because I've never seen such a perfect way to watch a power hitter just connecting and ripping a fastball from the angles as it was spinning. That was I wish they would have done more of that, because that was great. So, Cal Raleigh is the first catcher to ever win the home run derby. I don't think there have been a ton of catchers who've competed, to be honest with you, but nevertheless, very impressive. He was our major league leader coming into the break, 38 freaking home runs coming in. He almost didn't make it out of the first round. He's tied for fourth with Brent Rooker. They both had 17, but the longest of the round, Rooker, 470.54, and Cal 470.62. Holy hell. Honestly, when it's that close, I would have gone to a 3-out swing off.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is where a swing off makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're gonna tell me they have this technology, but the NFL can't figure out exactly where Josh Allen's the ball was
Yeah,
last year.
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
um, uh,
Or that
this
referees
technology
need to pull,
exists.
or the referee needs to pull an index card out to see if it was a first down or not.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, it just seems like, you know, it's a home run derby, and you're determining the advancer based on how far it went, not on the number,
Yeah.
um, which to me made no sense.
I mean, I get it. It's the tiebreaker, but if the distance is less than a foot, maybe less than 2 feet, just go to a quick swing off, because that would not have. I don't think a 3-out swing off would have added a significant enough length of time that it would have made me think any more than I already thought the event was so
Yeah.
long. You had some truly massive monster shots. O'Neill Cruz launched a 513-foot homer over the damn chop house. I've never seen somebody put one up there. That was tied for the longest non-course field home run in Derby history. But unfortunately, O'Neal Cruz was eliminated by Cal in the second round. That was a 19-13. That was actually a close. That was a close one. Whereas Buxton was gassed in round two. He only put 7 up, and Caminero had 8 home runs in I think a minute or maybe even slightly under a minute to knock out Buxton in round two. And then the final was really good. Cal went first, put up the 18, and had to watch his Caminero started slow, but then picked up the pace. And, it to come 3 short, that's not bad at all. That was absolutely phenomenal to watch. Stat wise, let me see here. Yeah, in the finals, the longest home run was a 469 footer, and then the hardest hit was a 111. So that was for Caminero, and then for Cal in the final, the longest was 464. Hardest hit 110. So it really was an absolutely phenomenal home run derby the whole way through. I had such a blast watching it. Matt Olson, apparently the last time it was in Atlanta, he was at the home run derby as a kid watching Chipper slug for the Braves. I believe that was when Sammy Sosa won, wasn't it?
Probably. I don't remember.
Okay. I know it was early 2000s and he was still slugging away for the Cubs. Somewhere between 2000 and 2003. So
it was 2000, I think, because I thought I heard somewhere that it was the 25 years since it had been in Atlanta.
Got it. Yeah, that would make sense then. One other thing Jason pointed out, and it's been 25 years for Atlanta. For Philly, it's been since the 70s, if I think he said like 75 maybe. Why is the All-Star break not just on a rotation that every team has it once out of 30 years? Like
that would make too much sense. Come on now.
Yeah, well, that's clearly it. I understand if a new stadium opens up, you want to give them the show within like 5 years of it opening up. Well, it's still new and fresh. Okay, that's fine if you want to jump a team, but then drop them to the end of the line. I'm excited for it to be in Philly next year because in the middle of the summer, 2 of the best home run parks to hit in are Truist Park and Citizens Bank Park. So I'm expecting the home run derby next year is going to be as electric as it was this year. Early prediction, Joe. If Schwarber re-signs with the Phillies, are the Phillies going to put Harper in the Derby, or are they going to put Schwarber in?
I don't know. Kind of depends on Harper's health, probably. He didn't swinging it this year, and he probably could have certainly earned it, but he definitely would have put on a show. So, if I had to guess, it's probably Schwarber.
All right.
But it depends on who's ever healthier.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. So that was the home run derby, which, I always love it, even if it's too long. I still love watching it. Then we had the All-Star game itself. First of all, it was great to see the All-Star game, the players back in their freaking uniforms like it's supposed to be. Can we just say thank you to Nike and MLB for listening to the fans and saying, let's get rid of the stupid Joker uniforms, let them wear them in the home run derby, but when we get to the game, go back to the regular uniforms, because that looked so good on the field. I hate that they went away with it, and I'm glad it was back. It's just a better look all the way around. And also they had the regular hats, not the weird ones from the Derby with that weird like top panel and the 3 stars thing. So, visually it was stunning. The field looked great. The crowd was engaged and into it. The announcer did a great job. Kaminsky, the organist for the Braves, was absolutely on his game. Unfortunately, he did point out on his Instagram feed later, he was not allowed to pick fun songs for the American League players like he does for Braves home games. MLB kind of gave him a script for what he was allowed to follow. But anywhere where he was allowed to branch out, he definitely did, and it came through the broadcast, which was a lot of fun. We always talk about, in spring training, how we don't really like to hear players mic'd up. I didn't mind it during the All-Star game. I thought Clayton Kershaw being mic'd up while he pitched was actually pretty funny, especially that great sliding catch Kyle Tucker made in left field to save what would have been easily a double, possibly a triple for Kershaw. I enjoyed that. During the All-Star game, absolutely mic the players up. It's an exhibition game. It doesn't matter who wins and who loses. The NL pitching was great until the end, as it always seems to go. I mean, how many times have we seen, hey, the NL is led for XYZ number of innings, and oh, wait, here comes the AL against a pitcher that we're not really sure was supposed to be there, but somehow ended up there, and that's where that happened. So, one of these times I won't be driven nuts by it, I'm sure, but I probably still will be. The NL did jump on Tariq Skubal in the first inning, putting up a 2 spot, which I'm going to be honest, Joe, I was a little surprised by that. Skubal didn't look quite as sharp as I expected him to, although he did still get 2 strikeouts despite the 3 hits and 2 runs. Skeens was Skeens. That wasn't a complete surprise there. Edwin Diaz did blow the save, although Suarez did not. Robert Suarez left him one hell of a mess to come into. Suarez was the right call. I mean, he is the NL save leader going into the break, if I remember correctly. And for some reason, he wasn't on the initial roster, so I'm glad that he was put on there. But because I recall him being one of the snubs we were talking about last time.
He hit Ohtani. He had to be on as like an injury addition.
Was he a sales replacement? Maybe
I don't know. I didn't follow it that closely, but I know he got added finally. Maybe Friday, Saturday. I think, but it was one of those things too, where there's a lot of people who should have been on the roster to start with.
Absolutely.
I don't care that he was suspended for 3 games. He should have been on the roster to start with.
Yeah, it's not like Jurickson Profar where the suspension was for PEDs. It was a suspension because he hit somebody. That doesn't take away from his performance for the first half as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that the suspension stuff is so subjective anymore.
Agreed.
Because he got 3 games, and the person who hit the guy on I don't remember if it was Tatis or somebody else. Whoever hit the Padre player, I don't think got anything.
Nope, they didn't.
The suspensions are so subjective that it's annoying. So
yeah,
I really don't want to.
Yeah, the suspensions. Yeah, we could do a whole episode where we gripe and moan about those. Adrian Morejon, excuse me, one of the pitchers who was selected early, the reliever from the Padres, that we were like, he's a good setup man. He's had the numbers, but should he really be an all-star? Well, he got lit the hell up. He didn't even finish an inning and gave up 2 earned runs. And Rodriguez inherited some and let at least one of them through as well. So, it's the All-Star game. Pitching's going to be what it's going to be. Overall, good. The AL was definitely the more dominating strikeout lineup, which we suspected in our preview episode. They dominated the strikeouts 12-6. Walks went 3-2 more by the AL, so the walks really weren't a factor. 2 home runs given up by the AL, 1 by the NL. So, a lot of small ball, which you tend to see in the All-Star games because it is the best pitchers able to go max effort for just 1 inning versus the best hitters.
Right.
Alonso had the 2 homers for the NL was Alonso off Bubic and Carroll off Mize. And for the NL, it was shocker, I know, Rooker. So, always, it's always funny to see a guy homer in the home run derby and then homer in the game afterwards. So, big applause from the Atlanta fans, and the Atlanta players were announced, of course. I saw in the pregame, Chipper was out there with Andrew Jones, and Andres Galarraga was out there with him too. That was really cool. I love the big cat. I still remember when he came back after missing a year for cancer treatments and homered in his first at bat back. That still gives me chills thinking about it. I loved watching Under Scalaraka when he played. And he wore my number 14. So, what's not to love there? So the All-Star game came down to a 6-6 tie at the end. So for the first time ever, we got to have the home run swing-off tiebreaker. So 3 batters, and you had 3 outs each, and Kyle Schwarber pulled it through for the NL. And it was a 4-3 victory on the swing-off. And honestly, I kind of like the swing-off. That worked really well, actually. I'd be honestly if the players ever got tired of playing a full game and just wanted to do like a banana style swing off and make it like the score for each inning and score it like that, I'd be okay with it. Honestly, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, you have to question the fact that Judge wasn't picked for the AL to be in the swing off made a little less sense to me. Or even Raleigh or somebody else. I mean, the fact that they picked that obscure guy that I still don't know what his name is instead of Judge or something like that is a little ridiculous.
It was so let's see here. So it was Brent Rooker had 2, Randy Arozarena had 1, and then Aranda had 0 for the AL.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, and then for the NL, it was Kyle Stowers had 1, Schwarber had 3. Pete Alonso was ready to go, but Schwarber put it to bed. Right, they didn't need Alonso to bat. So, here, my question: what was it? Was it only players that were still in, or could it have been anybody on the roster?
I don't know. I wasn't paying any attention to it really last night. But
Where's the box?
I mean,
Oh, if Alonso was allowed to go, then it was anybody because Olsen had replaced Alonso at that point.
Right. So I think it was anybody who was on the roster, but I didn't pay too close attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah, really. The AL definitely didn't send its best options to play. Not sending Cal Raleigh, I'm fine. I mean, the dude jacked his season total the night before. There's no need to risk him getting hurt. But yeah, you're right. Why wasn't Aaron Judge out there for the AL? Doesn't make any sense at all. But I did really enjoy the swing off. And one thing I want to share was they did a video tribute for Hank last night that was absolutely beautiful. Here, let me pop that up.
Moment occurred in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's relive that marvelous milestone in baseball history.
And it doesn't take a mind reader to read the collective mind that's here in this ballpark tonight. They came to see him pass the bay.
Once again, a standing ovation for Henry Aaron. So the confrontation for the second time. Aaron walked in the second inning. He means the tying run at the plate now. So we'll see what Downing does. Al at the belt, delivers, and he's low, ball 1. And that just adds to the pressure.
He's sitting on 7-14. Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron. The fireworks are going. Henry Aaron is coming around third. His teammates are at home plate, and listen to this crowd.
One a marvelous moment for baseball. What a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world.
I think that people can look at me and say, you know, he was a great baseball player, but he was even a greater human being.
Man, that gave me chills watching that last night during the game. Still gives me goosebumps now.
Masterfully done. You know, we say this a lot, but they nail this stuff. Like, this stuff is phenomenal.
I don't know what
I hadn't.
I don't know what kind of video technology it is to do that, to do the hologram, because you know they did it with freaking Harry when the Cubs were at the Iowa game. Incredible to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal stuff, and you know, that's the first I'm seeing it because I didn't see much of the game last night. That was masterful. That was excellent.
Got to give it to MLB. They do the one-offs better than just about anyone. Damn.
You know what really struck me is that, you know, you can listen to that and feel like you're there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that's sort of lost a lot in today's world, where you don't just listen and experience it. Because there's something to be said for that. You know, there's something to be said for just listening and experiencing the moment as it happens. Because there's a lot of people who, you know, there might be some people who were at that game and you can ask them what it was like, and they can tell you without even thinking about it, because they lived it. It's just something to be said for that sort of focus, you know, to life.
Yeah, there truly is. And now those people who have grandkids that were at the All-Star game last night, their grandkids will be able to say, I sat at the All-Star game with my grandfather who saw the original, and I got to see the video tribute, and it felt amazing. And that's just so freaking cool. Somebody got a picture of Billy Eyre and Hank's wife just standing up in the box, tears in her eyes at the remembrance of Hank, and just beautiful pictures. Whoever managed to sneak those shots of her, just I was floored when I saw them, honestly. Wow. And that quote from Hank at the end about being so happy to be known as a better man than he was at baseball, that gets me every time I hear it. Truly one of the finest human beings to have ever walked this planet. All right, enough gushy crap from me. Sorry, shouldn't have done that. But yeah, that will never not get me emotional. All right, so first half is over, and boy, what a first half it was. If you are not an Atlanta fan, because we were not happy with the first half, and I honestly not expecting the second half to go significantly better than the first half. We're not going to talk about trade targets tonight. We'll be doing that next week because we won't have a lot to talk about with only 3 to 4 games going this weekend for all teams. So let's talk winners and losers here from the first half, Joe. I'll let you kick it off first because the Cubs had a fantastic first half and absolutely, in my book, are winners for how they performed. Some of it should be expected when you go out and get guys like Kyle Tucker and PCA blossoming into one of the best players in the game right in front of our eyes. But, you guys had some road bumps to get over to get there, and you've covered them admirably so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously that's a big winner, probably for all of us to see what they've been able to pull off. If you had told me a month in that they would do that, they would be in this position at the All-Star break without Steele for most of the year, for outside of a couple of starts, and without Shota for 2 months, I would have told you were crazy. The fact that they were able to pull this off, the first half at least, is remarkable. There's not a whole lot to say about that. It's just been crazy to see. There's a lot of, I do give, Jed a ton of crap on this show. Everybody knows that, because there are a lot of moves that they don't make that they should. But, if things continue the way they have this year for this team, Matthew Boyd's in the Cy Young conversation. He has to be.
Agreed.
And that was an unexpected blessing. That was insane what he's been able to do so far this year. He's at the break. He's 10-3. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card, let alone Matthew Boyd, because he's been nagged with injuries for years.
Can confirm I definitely didn't.
No. So from the standpoint of them, obviously that's a homer winner to, there's certainly a lot of room for improvement there. There's still some holes that need to be filled in the next week, or two, but, I can't be disappointed with where they are. I think another winner to me is the Blue Jays. I didn't have high expectations for them. And I think, they obviously they got hot at the right time. Going into the break, we'll see if they can keep that going. So for them to be in the position they're in, that's obviously a winner. The Red Sox being, in the thick of it when they were out of it probably 2-3 weeks ago.
10-game winning streak really cures a lot of problems, doesn't it?
Yeah. Those are the ones that jump out to me. I don't want to steal everything, but
the Red Sox are probably the only team that wish the All-Star break was another week away because of the way they were playing. You hate to stop playing and have a 4-day break when your team gets hot and goes on a 10-game winning streak. But, those are the breaks of life. We knew Detroit was going to be good. I don't think we expected Detroit to be at 59-38. Now, I'm not surprised the rest of the AL Central is under 500 because the AL Central is a garbage division. But I certainly didn't expect Detroit to have the best record in baseball at the break, even with Tariq Skubal. And, big reason for that, Javi Baez, he's back, man. The move to outfield has been great for him. He is batting unbelievably so far. I can't remember the last time that we saw Javi Baez playing like this. It had to have been the Chicago years, maybe the World Series year. But, this is incredible so far. He's already put up 2.1 WAR. And, Joe, he's only struck out 63 times. That's not bad. And he's walked, granted, only walked 9 times, but he's never been known to see enough pitches to get to walks anyway. So,
that's fair.
A slash line at 275, 310, 442. That's fantastic, man. It's so good to see him back again after some really, really rough years. He was benched last year. He went from being benched and being a negative WAR player to being a positive WAR player and making the All-Star team a year later. It's so good to see.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. It's good for him. I'll always have some sort of soft spot for the guy, even though he drove me crazy. But
I always think of that play against the Pirates where the first baseman just had to tag him, but chases him all the way back to home plate, and Javi Legs had a double from honestly one of the greatest plays that should be played to the to the theme of the to the theme of the Hillbillies just going nuts. Oh my God, I love it when that pops up on memories because it never fails to make me laugh my ass off for 5 minutes at the utter ridiculousness and stupidity of the Pirates' first baseman. Either tag Javi or just step on first, and none of that shit had to happen. But no, you had to chase him back and let him egg you on.
yeah,
it's good to see exciting players do well. It really is. The A's haven't been terrible, and I think in the early going, we had the A's down as a team to watch. Not be surprised if they don't go big, but keep an eye on them because they might do something. And it looks like the youth movement is finally starting to pick up. I mean, let's take Severino out of the equation because he can't pitch at home to save his life, as we pointed out last week, and told him he should stop complaining about it too because he knew what he signed on to. White Sox were as bad as expected. Let's see here. There's one other winner I wanted to bring up, not the Phillies and the Mets. How did Milwaukee climb back in?
winning 8 out of 10.
Like,
and the Cubs were struggling for a good week and a half there. I mean,
Milwaukee's like, they're like a pack of mayflies. You just can't. They just keep coming back no matter how many times you swat them down. And it's quite annoying. As I've been on record being a Milwaukee hater and will continue to be a Milwaukee hater for the number of years they screwed me in playoff positioning growing up. Also, being Alex's brother and him also hating Milwaukee, that, might have led to that too.
Yeah. I mean, I think Milwaukee just is sneaky talented. Like, it's not flashy, it's not big boppers, it's not Cal Raleigh numbers. It's just manufacturing runs. That's just what they do. And they've been really phenomenal at that as a system for the better part of a decade. It's you can't count them out, and they went on a roll, and the Cubs didn't for a stretch there. Trying to figure out some lineup stuff, but it is what it is. I mean, for 30, over a 30-day span from June to July, Ian Happ was hitting like 170. So
yeah,
that'll do it to you, and he's your leadoff hitter. So that's gonna change the dichotomy of the season for you as a club. For that, you get one bad stretch, and hopefully that's all it was, because the Cubs can't have any more of those, or else they'll be sitting at home in October.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay. The All-Star game should help them clear their heads, I think. So, biggest losers of the first half. I'm going to pick the lowest hanging fruit first. The Rockies. Jesus Christ, 22-74. That is a .229 winning percentage. They might be worse than the White Sox were last year. They might break records. Let's be realistic. They probably are. I mean, this is a team that's already given up 589 runs this year. The only other teams that have given up 500 runs are the Nationals, the Athletics, and some of that's going to will be attributed to their home fielders. They've given up 551 runs, but the Rockies, give their fans credit, because they have an absolutely god-awful team, and yet the fans keep showing up to see games. Now, one, they've got a gorgeous ballpark. I would absolutely go out to see a game there, even if Atlanta wasn't in town. If I was in Denver, I would love to go. That's one I'm really excited to check off over the next couple of years as we take summer trips with the boys. that's a team devoid of talent, almost every position outside of catching. I know you fire them, you fire the manager, you fire the GM, but here's the problem. They can only do so much with what they have to work with, and there is nothing in the tank. There's not really a whole lot ready to come up in the minors either. I did see that they drafted Matt Holliday's kid in the first round, and good for them.
Yeah.
I really think if they had picked anybody else in that spot, it would have been an awful pick. But that said, I mean, the Rockies are awful this year, and because they've been top 5 so many years in a row because of the collective bargaining agreement, as soon as they can pick next year is going to be 10. Same with the White Sox this year. The White Sox picked in the draft at 10 because they were a lottery pick too many years in a row. It's part of the anti-tanking rules that are in this current collective bargaining agreement. And boy, of all the years to tank your brains out and have a historically awful record, and you're not even going to get the number 1 overall pick as a thank you. Jeez. That's nuts. Other disappointments so far for the first half, any semblance of run support for Paul Skeens. Although, as we saw during the All-Star game last night, he can't even get run support in the All-Star game as his bullpen blew it for him this time instead of the offense not showing up. Honestly, Atlanta has had a god-awful first half. We knew it was going to be a bit of a slow start with Strider coming off injury, with Acuna coming off injury. Acuna stepped right back in like he never left, which didn't surprise me. He tore an ACL once. He knows how to he knows how to rehab. He knows how to recover from it. From your former experiences as an athletic trainer, if a guy hurts something once and then hurts the other joint in the same way, they're going to remember how they recovered the first time and not make stupid mistakes the second time because they'll have learned their lesson the first time.
Well, you certainly hope that. I don't know that I can say that with any certainty, but
that's true. You had high school kids. You didn't have professional athletes you were working with.
I mean that's just athletes in general. I mean it doesn't matter. College, high school, pro. They're all going to do dumb things.
It's true. And now Sale's out indefinitely until his cracked rib heals. We lost Schwellenbach until September. We might see Reynaldo Lopez by August. We might not. We'll see. They're trying to avoid surgery, but we'll see if they will avoid surgery. I mean, the pitching's been decimated, and yet pitching really hasn't been the problem. It's been the offense. Atlanta has given up 386 runs this season. That's actually really, really good. In the NL East, the only teams ahead of them are the Phillies, who I think have probably the best pitching in the NL, or top 2, top 3 in the NL, including 2 pitchers that should have been in the All-Star game, one of which we know declined and one of which got absolutely screwed when they took a freaking rookie who's made 5 starts. Idiotic. But the Phillies have given up 375. The Mets have given up 381. The problem is Atlanta's only scored 388. And that's not going to get it done. They need to get the bats going in the second half. Profar being back will help. At this point, 12.5 back in the division. Yeah, we're not going to touch the division. I wasn't really ever worried about that. 9.5 in the wild card. Probably not this year. I'd love to see a repeat of the 1914 Miracle Braves that made it to the World Series, but I don't see that with this team. The offense has been inconsistent all year. They're not hitting well with runners in scoring position. They're not moving runners around. They need to start playing more small ball, be more disciplined at the plate. Honestly, I wish Chipper Jones was our freaking hitting instructor, because Chipper's been complaining about the Braves hitting for the last couple of years, even when they've been doing well. He does not like the huge strikeout numbers that they put up. He doesn't like the guys that leave runners on because they're trying to hit a 3-run homer when a double would have scored 2 runs. This is where metrics ends up biting you in the ass at times, because metrics say if your launch angle is here and you hit it at the velocity here, this is what's going to happen. And honestly, it's kind of gone a little bit too far in some places, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, there is a balance to this. There has to be, between metrics telling you something, but the performance has to match it. Strikeouts are bad. I don't really care who that offends in the MLB world. Whoever the stat junkies are, strikeouts matter. They suck.
Yeah.
It's not just another out. It's an out. It's a zero in the hit column. Like let's stop pretending that it's not a bad thing to strike out, because it is.
And it's not just an out. It's a non-productive out that doesn't stress the defense.
Right.
I would rather you go 0 for 5 with flyouts, lineouts, and groundouts than go 0 for 5 with the platinum sombrero every time. Because at least you made contact and you made the defense make a play on you. And if there was somebody on, not only does it give you the opportunity to move the runner up, but it also gives the defense another opportunity to make a mistake as they have to decide which runner to go for, where does the ball go, what are we doing here? It is always better to put the ball into play.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will never get on board with I'm okay with strikeouts. Never. It drives me nuts. Always has. Yeah. As you say, there is a time and a place for things like that, and this just isn't the season. And if Atlanta's hitters would stop striking out, looking at you, Michael Harris in particular, when you've got runners on, and like Michael Harris has barely walked all year. Let me see what Money Mike's at here. I don't think he's walked in 6 weeks at least. It's some crazy stat like that. Nope, no walks in the last couple games before the break. He has 10 walks all year to 77 strikeouts, and it's batting .210.
Yeah.
I'm glad they sat him for a couple games as an attempted wake-up call, but honestly, he still has options. I don't care what we're paying him. I think they should send him down to AAA for a week and tell him to fix a swing in Gwinnett and then come back up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his contract status is, but he very well could be playing for somebody else if it's not too much in a few weeks anyway.
No, they're not going to trade him because he signed one of those long-term.
Well, that's what I
give up
his contract was, but
yeah, he is. Let's see here. He signed through 2032, team options in 31 and 32 with only a $5 million. Yeah, he's getting $8 million this year, next year, 9, 10, 10, 12, 15, 20. He's not going anywhere at that cost.
No. I like I said, I didn't know his contract, so that clarifies that.
Yeah, he's one of the babies that signed the long-term contract. And, it is true. Jason brought it up in the group chat. Has Atlanta hamstrung themselves somewhat with these long contracts? Yes, a little bit. You're not wrong about that. We haven't had a shortstop since Dansby. Yeah, we had 1 year of an all-star out of Orlando Arcia, but Arcia has been awful ever since. He very much regressed back to the mean, unsurprisingly, after that all-star appearance. I think that's the biggest thing. And it's telling that at least three picks we made in the draft this year after going – so like the last 10, 15 years, we've drafted 70, 75% pitching, which is why our position depth is so shitty right now. At least 3 of our top picks were all shortstops this year, including our first round pick. Because we need to restock. We need to restock the middle infield. And remember, too, especially with high school kids, just because they're shortstops in the draft, it's usually because those are the best athletes and have the flexibility to be moved later anywhere. So they've started making good moves with the draft. Of course, that's not going to affect the major league roster for at least 3 to 5 years, as we know with position players. They're often not going to come up super fast. We've got some expiring contracts. Iglesias is expiring. Ozuna's expiring. We need to make deals. We need to be selling, and I think that's probably going to be the case. And we'll talk more about that on next Monday. I don't want to get too much into the buy or sell tonight.
Yeah.
The other biggest loser, though, and I think they're actually bigger losers than the Braves, Baltimore. Like, holy hell. To watch a team go from a wild card berth to a team that, although we had questions during the preseason show, we still thought they would be able to figure some of it out or would have made a deal by now to shore up the pitching. Baltimore has absolutely not shored up the pitching, and it shows with 483 runs allowed and a minus 90 differential in what is otherwise an incredibly stacked and competitive AL East so far.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have been the most glaring, I think, outside of Atlanta, as far as having a rough first half. I mean, we knew pitching was a liability. We didn't expect the offense to be, and the offense has been a liability all year. The offense has been a bigger liability than Ryan Gosling at cornerback, and remember the Titans. Like, this is something else. I mean, this is definitely not what we expected, but I think it's fair to say not only have the Orioles underperformed, but I feel like the Red Sox and the Rays kind of overshot.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays have overshot quite a bit. I don't know how much of their games, with the way the schedules are now, has been against Baltimore, so I don't know if I can attribute it to their poor performance, but I mean, the rest of that division has just been insane from the word go. So it's there's always going to be at least one team that falls pretty far, and I don't think any of us expected it to be them with the talent that's there.
Baltimore's team batting average is .239. That is 23rd in the league. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Looking at home runs, they have hit. Where are they on here? They're 12th at 111, so about league average. The Yankees, by the way, are leading that at 151. Not that anybody cared. The Orioles are 24th in RBIs. They're 21st in struck. Excuse me, that's inverted. So they're 9th in most times struck out. And I'm sure the OPS numbers are going to look just as bad. Yeah, 21st in OPS as a team at 702. Like that's not going to get it done at all.
Yeah, and I mean that's obviously the numbers kind of just show what we've been thinking and seeing most of the year. I think there's two other teams that have kind of severely underperformed.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cleveland is one of those.
Yeah.
We thought they would do pretty good with the talent they have. And then I think also Arizona. Being 11 back in that division already, and then 5.5 in the wild card, borderline trading, and we'll see what they do. But you almost have to start thinking about making moves at this point if you're Arizona.
Absolutely,
especially with I think Kelly and Gallen are both in walk years, are both with maybe 1 year left. So there's a lot of moving parts in a lot of these places. I think player wise, I think the biggest thing that's more of a shock is just how poorly Alcantara's performed since coming off of Tommy John. I mean, up to about a week ago, he had a 7 ERA, and Cub fans are always talking about a starter, and that's one of the first names that comes up, and it's like, no, I don't care how good he does in the next 3 weeks. Like, no. Of the pitchers in Miami, Cabrera is the better option.
Yeah, because he has another year on his contract after this, if I remember right. So
he does, yeah.
I wouldn't be upset if Atlanta would take a flyer on somebody like Alcantara if the package price was right. because at this point they're playing for next year. They know the cores. They know the core that they're going to have, and it's still a good core. A lot of players are just having off years and just need to recover. And I think some of them will start to turn it around in the second half. Not enough to, contend for any kind of playoff positioning, but to get good momentum going into next year. And honestly, maybe an off-season off will help more guys heal too. Also, let's give some props to Cincinnati, man. I was the only one who gave them any kind of shot in the preview show. Everybody else is like, yeah, Cincinnati's going to suck. And I said, wait a second. This is a frisky young team that's starting to turn it around. And you pointed out the Terry Francona effect, which let's give props to Terry Francona, 3,000 wins. What a milestone, man. I always loved Tito. One of my favorite managers to watch. The fact that he was the one who broke the Red Sox curse was awesome. And doing it, coming back down 3-0 against the Yankees was just icing on the cake. Watching my mom get progressively more pissed off every night during that series.
Yeah, 2000, not 3.
Excuse me, 2000. Either put him in the Hall of Fame anyway. I don't care.
But still, I mean, he's been excellent as a manager, and kudos to him. We weren't. I don't think we were sure just how good that young core would play for Cincinnati. They've shown some signs of sheer brilliance, and then they've shown some of that growing pains that we expect. So I think that was sort of the pause for the Reds, and I mean to see them in a good spot after doing some of the dumb things they did the last couple of years as a club. I mean, it's good to see. It's good for the game.
It is. It is. It's such an exciting young team. Ellie De La Cruz is one of my favorite players in the league to watch outside of Atlanta, along with PCA. I don't know what it is with these super speedy guys that make ridiculous plays, but they're so much fun to watch. Terry Francona, I mean, 2,000 wins. He's been successful everywhere he's been except for Philadelphia. And let's face it, he was in Philadelphia back in the late 90s. I don't think Christy Mathewson would have been successful with Philadelphia. Connie Mack wouldn't have been successful with Philadelphia. Casey Stengel wouldn't have been successful with Philadelphia from the years 97 through 2000. So, Tito shouldn't beat himself up too much about that one. So, oh man. So it's been a good first half to watch. I mean, individual results may vary, but the games have been exciting in the first half, and I'm excited for the second half. It's going to be a good race to the playoffs for you and Jason. I'll be sitting. I'm probably going to just typically when Atlanta's done and out, I'm rooting for the Cubs for Alex. So Joe, I'll be hopping on your bandwagon probably in a couple weeks when we are officially selling and done for. So that'll be exciting at least. You've got a hell of a roster to root for this year.
To quote the movie Ricky Bobby, don't you put that kind of evil on me, man. Don't you do that shit. Find your own bandwagon.
Every time I've tried to do a reverse curse in the Phillies, they go on a winning streak. So I've stopped trying to do that.
Like I said, don't bring that evil on me, man.
Plus, I absolutely refuse to root for a division rival ever. So, it could be Yankees, Mets, and I'm either going to root for the Meteor or I will begrudgingly root for the Yankees for my mother. I won't root for the Mets. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned both the Phillies and the Mets. I mean, for the Mets to be able to do what they've done this year with Soto slumping to start the year, to be a few weeks without Senga, be without McGill, Holmes kind of being bonus innings from this point out. For them to be in contention right now is exciting. For the Phillies to be able to, put it together and be where they are is exciting. Definitely for most of the fans of the show and for Jason and Ron for sure. It's definitely an exciting time to be a Philly fan. That's for sure.
It is. I'm glad, as Jason said after the Braves won the World Series in 21, he was happy for me and pissed that the Braves won. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm happy for them that their team's doing well, and I'm also simultaneously pissed off about it as well. And that's sports. and especially baseball, where rivalries run deeper than almost anything. All right, so that's our All-Star break wrap. We'll be back next Monday, but we'll be back at our normal time again. We're going to be we'll talk about the games this weekend, but we're really going to be focusing on buyers and sellers and players that we're suspecting are going to be moved around, and what I think it's going to be a pretty active trade deadline this year. The last couple of years we've kind of been handcuffed. You had so many teams that were on the cusp, but this year, I'd say probably. I think you definitely have 5 sellers already in the American League. Minnesota, Texas, Los Angeles, they're within 4. I know Kansas City and Cleveland are 4.5, but I'm kind of starting to write them off already. If they can't get going already with that division as bad as it is, And then looking at the National League, get 5+ out in the wild card. You've already got 6 teams in there. So we should have a more robust sellers market than we've had the last couple of years. So I'm hoping we see some more wheeling and dealing getting done by the deadline. So that's the big thing we'll be talking about next Monday is the buyers, the sellers, players we think are going to move, and who do we think is going to be the biggest player to be moved? Because I've got a couple ideas, but we'll have to wait and see. And I'm interested to hear your opinions on that on Monday then, Joe. All righty?
All righty, man.
All right. So, guys, podcast is available, video and audio, on Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. Watch us live on Facebook.com/DollarDogsAndBeer, as well as our YouTube channel. Merchandise is at redbubble.com/people/DDAB-podcast. Let me see here. Where did that go? Shoot. I love it when programs crash on you as you're trying to literally read off the prompt. Isn't that just wonderful? Anyway, we're sponsored by Dark Arrow Podcast LLC and by the Baron Barbershop over in Manheim. I do need to see Johnny soon. I know the beard is getting out of control. I said I'd take care of it before the All-Star break. Well, when your house floods, you kind of have other priorities, so it'll get done at some point. I don't know when, but it'll get done at some point. Guys, may your dogs always cost $1. May your beer always be cold. We'll see you on Monday.